What's going on, you guys? TBR here, back yet again with another 7 Nights 2 video. And in today's video, we are going to be bringing you guys a much requested guide. So we are going to be doing the quick and dirty and simple guide to formations in 7 Nights 2 and giving you guys some recommendations on which formations that you should be using in what scenarios and what you should be prioritizing. But before we get into all of that more, make sure if you guys are new here to the channel that you smash that like button and subscribe and hit the intro music. Alright, you guys, so in today's video, like I mentioned, we are going to be taking a look at the various formations in 7 Nights 2 and giving you guys a quick and dirty guide on which ones you should be prioritizing. Now, I do emphasize quick because while this may seem like it is something that might take a lot of time and be overly complicated, surprisingly enough, it really isn't, and this is actually something that you can really overly simplify for yourself and make it just that much easier, but we'll go ahead and we will talk about it in today's video. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about formations. So what are formations? So as you guys can see here, we are in the formation tab. Now, for those of you who are not aware of where to find this, if you go over to set team and then you go down here to formation, you can go ahead and take a look at the different formations that are available to you, of which there are quite a few. So basically with these formations, you guys will see that you can go ahead and enhance your formations. So the way that you do this is you would be using gold, and you would be using these various books that you can get from different missions throughout the game. And so what you would do is you would come in here and you would go ahead and level up whatever formation it is that you are prioritizing at the time, and that's going to go ahead and give you a nice big bump to your overall CP, which is really important in this game. As we have mentioned in previous guides, CP is everything in 7 Nights 2, so this is a really solid way of being able to increase your overall CP without having to build up your fighters. However, formations are extremely important because this is basically going to dictate not only the formation by default that your team takes in battle, but it is also going to dictate a lot of the different stats that you are going to have for your characters in battle. So as you guys will see here, this is what I use for most everything in PvE, and this is going to be one that we talk about quite a bit, which is the crit formation. However, as you guys can see from this, we are going to be getting quite a bit of crit rate. We're going to be getting some nice crit damage and some attack speed with this formation, which are going to be things that are very, very important. You're also going to be increasing your defense for your front line, which is also extremely important, especially since you should have your tank at the front of your formation in most scenarios. So that's kind of what we're looking at as far as the statistical breakdown here of how this works. So basically, you guys, the critical formation is one that I highly recommend that you guys take a lot of stock into and build up quite a bit. So typically with formations, you're going to have different scenarios in the game that you're going to want to use different formations in, but when it comes to these different formations, really you can simplify it by really just taking a look at two. So basically the two that you want to look at are going to be swift attack and crit. So the reason why you would want to take a look at these is because basically for anything as far as PvE is concerned, for your basic story missions and so on and so forth, 9 times out of 10, the best possible option is going to be the crit formation. Now, the reason for this is going to be for a couple of reasons. The biggest one being that, of course, crit is an extremely important role in this game, and it is going to be a statistic that you highly want to take a look at whenever you are building your team. It comes in handy in big ways when it comes to the story missions, and when it comes to attack speed, that is also something that is extremely important in this game as well, that we'll talk more about when we get to the swift attack formation. But in general, when it comes to the crit formation, this is going to be where you want to live when it comes to doing your different formations for PvE, but there are going to be some outliers as examples that are not going to fall into that category. However, for the most part, crit is going to be the recommendation that I would give you just as a general general overall formation for your team for most PvE content. So when it comes to formations and leveling them up, it can get quite expensive. My recommendation to you guys is you want to make sure that you go ahead and you build these up to level 10 as quickly as possible, and at that point you should be in really good shape. Now of course this is going to take time because these books here that you need to collect, they do increase as far as how many that you need from one level to the next, so it does start to get a little bit more difficult as you go. However, you are able to craft the universal books as well, which will make this a lot easier over time. However, again, keep in mind that this does start to get slower as far as progression is concerned, because you are going to need just that many more books and just that much more gold as you go. So that's pretty much what you're looking at as far as trying to level these up. And like I mentioned, when it comes to PvE, just for general PvE content, this is going to be the best overall formation for that for most anything. So this is the one that I highly recommend that you guys look at outside of things such as arena and specific things in the game such as your dungeons and so on and so forth. So when we get to talking about the other formation that we're going to talk about in this video, of course that is going to be the swift attack formation. So the swift attack formation is mostly important for arena and PvP. So the reason for that is, as you guys can see, whereas the crit formation did focus on just that crit, the swift attack formation is actually going to focus on attack speed and movement speed. So when it comes to arena content, this is extremely important, especially because you want to make sure that you are trying to get as many rolls on your attack and your movement speed as possible there. That is going to yield you some amazing results, especially as these formations start to scale and you build them up. So besides the crit formation, I highly recommend that you guys go ahead and build up the swift attack formation. This is also going to come in handy for specific dungeons. So if you want to take this formation in for your team in some of the other dungeon scenarios, this does tend to be the best route to go for that. But in general, if you have the crit formation built up as well, you can always go that route for those specific things. But in general, these are going to be the two that I would make sure that you guys definitely focus down and focus your resources on. Probably want to go ahead and build up the crit one first, or at least try to prioritize the crit one just a little bit more than the swift attack one, just because typically you're going to be living with the crit formation most often. However, if you're somebody that takes PvP more seriously, and that's really kind of your bread and butter and what you enjoy the most, then you may want to take a look at the swift attack formation instead. But typically that is going to be the order that I would recommend that you guys go in with these. And like I said, if you can get these things up to level 10, then you're going to be in great position to succeed with your formations in this game. And these are also, like I said, something not to sleep on, especially for your CP, but in general these do make a huge difference in battle and can make or break you. So that is what I would recommend to you guys to focus on. These two are going to be the ones that you are going to see the Korean meta use the most, and there is a major reason for that. As we've already outlined here, these are going to yield you the best results for these specific things in this game. So that is what I would recommend to you guys. Like I said, this is going to be a quick guide today because I don't think that there is as much we need to talk about here as some of the other guides that we've already done. So for those of you out there who have been asking me about formations and what to focus on, these are going to be the two that you want to focus on, and you are going to be in great shape. So do not forget your formations. They are extremely important, and you want to make sure that you are always on top of where you're at with your books and as far as your levels of your formations, because again, they can make or break you, especially when you're talking about things that are competitive such as arena. So anyway, you guys, that is going to do it for today's guide. I hope you guys found it informative. If you did, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe, and I will see you guys all in the next one. You take care. Peace.
Continue.